You know, there's been lots of discussion over the past few years about Melania Trump and whether or not she actually cares about Donald, whether he even cares for her. Is this a loveless marriage? Does that matter for anything in the political realm? Well, earlier this week, Donald Trump decided to bring up the fact that his wife really doesn't care about him during a fundraiser at his own Washington, D.C. hotel. Now, during this fundraiser, Donald Trump spoke for more than an hour to wealthy Republican donors, and he heaped some criticism on Democrats and some Republicans, but he also heaped some praise on some Republicans, particularly Steve Scalise, the Republican lawmaker who was shot at the congressional baseball practice a couple years ago. And that's when things got weird. Here's what Donald Trump had to say. He said that Scalise's wife, quote, cried her eyes out when I met her at the hospital that fateful day. I mean, not many wives would react that way to tragedy. I know mine wouldn't. So if you were shot and you were taken to the hospital, we weren't sure if you were going to live or die. Melania, according to you, Donald, your wife, the woman you chose to spend the rest of your life with, would just be like, all right. Now, on this particular issue, this happens to be one of the times I agree with Donald Trump. I do not think for a second that if he were shot, Melania would shed a tear. And that's not because I think Melania is an emotionless robot. I don't believe she is at all. We've seen her be happy. Not when she's ever around Donald Trump, but we've seen her in other instances. She can be happy. She can laugh. She can show emotion and actual human feelings. She just doesn't have any towards Donald Trump. So again, why is this important? Why are we even bothering to talk about this? Well, there's a reason. Trump right now at this fundraiser on Wednesday of this week, I believe it was, said his wife doesn't care about him. His wife doesn't care about him. She is the First Lady of the United States. She has initiatives and plans. Be best, right? How are we supposed to take her seriously when she doesn't even care enough about her husband, according to him, to shed a tear if he gets shot? The answer is we can't. You know, we knew from the beginning she wasn't serious about this whole be best thing because she never once decided to call out her husband for his boorish behavior. But if she wants us to take her seriously as a first lady, somebody who is taking her responsibilities seriously, or hell, at the very least, somebody who at least gives a dang about her husband, well, Trump just ruined that for her earlier this week. I have no doubt whatsoever in my mind, that shortly after Donald Trump leaves office, whether it's 6 months from now, a year from now, or God forbid, 4.5 years from now, she'll divorce him. She'll divorce him pretty quick. That is assuming that she can suffer through him with the remaining days he has in his administration, and I don't even know that she's willing to do that. It's not fair to her to stay in this loveless marriage, but at the same time, it's also actually not fair to Donald Trump, as horrible as he is, as many times he's cheated on her. Yeah, still unfair. Both of them are using the other. And I guess Republicans think that's a good enough example for our children, right? The religious right's still standing by him. They joined him yesterday and all laid their hands on him and prayed for him. Prayed for God to protect him from impeachment. Ignoring the fact that this man is absolutely using his wife, she is using him. There is not one bit of emotion between the two of them at all. And yet they're the ones who always tell us that the sanctity of marriage is one of the greatest things on the planet. They just keep overlooking the fact that the guy they're laying their hands on doesn't care about his marriage. And clearly his wife, according to him, doesn't care about him either. Thanks for watching, everybody. And don't forget, if you like what you see here, like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. And now you can also become a member of Ring of Fire and get exclusive early access to certain Ring of Fire videos all throughout the week. Just click on the little join button right below the video.